Hello everyone, my name is Courtney Stewart and my disability project is over a student with Down syndrome, and that would be an intellectual disability. So first I'm just going to kind of give the definition of an intellectual disability. So it can be shown by impaired intellectual functioning, and it can also go along with deficits in adaptive behavior, and it can start at the developmental period that affects a child's educational performance. So in this case, the child was known to have an intellectual disability as soon as they were born. So now I'm going to talk just a little bit about Down syndrome. This is something that is very personal to me. My first cousin, he's 37 years old, and he has Down syndrome. He's my very best friend in the whole world. Like, without him, my days would not be as bright. He lives in Michigan, and he FaceTimes me multiple times throughout the day. When I'm at work, at my nighttime job, my boss would get my phone and talk to him and aggravate him, and he really enjoys that. But yeah, my first cousin is just really awesome. Down syndrome is usually caused by an extra chromosome, the extra 21st chromosome. So instead of the 2 copies, there would be an extra copy. There's also some other common causes, but a less common one is when part of the 21st chromosome becomes attached to another chromosome during the formation of reproductive cells in a parent or early in fetal development. And another cause, it's a very small percentage of people with Down syndrome have an extra copy of the 21st chromosome in only some of the body cells. This is very rare, and it's called mosaic Down syndrome. People with Down syndrome usually have weak muscle tone in infancy. All affected individuals experience cognitive delays, but the intellectual disability is usually mild to moderate, but it is associated with the intellectual disability. People with Down syndrome may have a variety of birth defects. About half of all children are born with a heart defect. My first cousin was actually born with a hole in his heart, so he was in the hospital for quite some time after he was born. With this child, though, that I have done my project over, I do not know the circumstances of which they were born with. People with Down syndrome also have speech and language delays. They might not be able to get out what they're trying to say like others can pretty easily. I know with my first cousin, not a lot of people can understand what he is saying, but I guess since I talked to him a lot throughout the days, it's pretty easy for me to understand, rather it would be others. So people that are involved in a student's life or a person's life with Down syndrome probably have a lot easier time understanding what they're saying or trying to say. I have come to know, though, that just like anyone, not everyone with Down syndrome is the same. I have another family member that has Down syndrome, and he's very calm and reserved, and my first cousin he is very outspoken. He will always say what's on his mind, and he's hilarious. So it just just like with anyone, everyone is different, and it just kind of differs on the individual person themselves. But just because someone has Down syndrome, it sure does not define what they're capable of doing. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the family perspective. I came to know this family through my mom. She's friends with this family throughout her church. And I will refer to the mom as Lauren and the daughter as JJ. These are not their real names. Some side notes on the family. This family has adopted quite a few kids, and the daughter that I am doing this project over was also adopted since the day that she was born. So they knew that she had Down syndrome, and they chose to adopt her. So I just think that is such an awesome thing. I would On a side note, personal note, I would love to adopt one day, and I just thought it was really cool how they adopted. I did not know that. About halfway through the interview, she told me that. So I just think that's really awesome. So I'm just going to point out a few more side notes on this family. The daughter was homeschooled from kindergarten through third grade, and then as soon as fourth grade started, she started at a public school and has still currently attended public school and is now in high school. The mother just really thought it was important to be with the child for their first few years of schooling and keep them at home just to see how they would do. And then in fourth grade, she really wanted her daughter to get a more social atmosphere in a public school environment, just to get out there with some more adults and make some new friends. And this interview lasted for about 45 minutes to an hour. I went to the family's home and sat down and talked with the mother for quite some time. So now I'm going to talk just a little bit about JJ. JJ has many siblings. I believe there's 5 or 6 siblings. She also has a sister that is just, I think, about a year younger than her that also has Down syndrome that was also adopted. So the mother pointed out some differences between JJ and her sister. Just like my personal experience between my 2 family members, JJ is very outgoing and outspoken. She's not very shy at all and is not afraid to talk to new people and get involved in things. Rather than her sister is kind of more shy and reserved and collected and not as outgoing. Of course, JJ was diagnosed with Down syndrome at birth. So yeah, from a social aspect, she's very sociable and doesn't have a problem with talking to new people. Her hobbies are, she really enjoys dance right now. Her mother wanted to get her involved in chorus as well at her school, but since dance is something that is really a top priority in JJ's life, she didn't want to get anything to interfere or distract her from her love for dancing. So she gets to be involved with dance at school and take the class, and has recitals and things like that she really gets excited for. I got to see many pictures of her all dressed up and getting ready for dance recitals and things like that, and the smile on her face was priceless. So she seems to really enjoy dancing. Her dislikes are dogs. The family just recently got a dog just to kind of see if having a dog inside the home would kind of help JJ work through her fear of dogs. It's a very small dog, but so far it is not doing much with helping her through that fear. And some lights. So JJ's in high school right now, and she is very boy crazy, according to her mother. So she's hoping that she'll grow out of that soon, but who knows with that. But JJ seems to be a very awesome individual. So now I'm going to talk about some of the interview questions that I had with the parent. I met with the parent at their home. It was a pretty lengthy interview, and I really enjoyed it. It was lasted for maybe 45 minutes to an hour. So how long has your child received SPED services? So through a school standpoint, she has received them from 4th grade until presently. Did your child receive early intervention services through TEIS or another early intervention service provider, and if so, what did they consist of and were they successful? She did receive TEIS through birth through 3 years old, and then from then on she was homeschooled until 4th grade, and then 4th grade until presently she has been in a public school. And the mother said that yes, they were very appropriate and very successful. She had plenty of different options and opportunities with therapists, such as an occupational therapist, a physical therapist, and a speech therapist. And having all those therapists there really helped her know and her husband know what to push on and to help their child improve in certain things and kind of know what was fair, what to expect from their child. So, what all testing was completed on your child, and how were these test results communicated with you? So, when she first went into the public school system, of course, she was evaluated by a speech therapist and a psychologist, and they discussed their findings, and that is when they set their kind of IEP in place and started working on that for her public school academic career. Next question is, do you feel your child is getting or has been getting the SPED services they need? And she says it kind of changes from year to year, just depending on the teacher. But for the most part, she feels as if her child has more than gotten what she deserves and has a right to, and that she's really had a good quality of special education services. Another question I asked was, has your child made progress? And the mother believes that all throughout her daughter's life that her child has indeed grown academically and personally. So in all aspects or areas of her life that she has seen growth within her child that makes her feel satisfied. So that is the most important thing there. Does your child participate in general education, and if so, how do they participate? So she kind of just went back from like the homeschool standpoint, kindergarten through fourth grade. She really worked on fundamentals such as math, letters, making sounds, reading, just basic fundamentals that you would still find in a public school as well for kindergarten through third grade standpoint. So once she started public school in fourth grade is when she got the opportunity to get involved in a regular classroom setting at some points throughout the day. But for the most part, she has always been in a special education classroom. She pointed out for 7th and 8th grade that her daughter really got to learn more about life skills and incorporate life skills. And now in high school, she's continuing life skill learning and kind of what she's going to do after school and when it's all over. So that question right there really made the mother think more on what she was going to do with JJ once she did graduate high school. I think she really wants her daughter to get a job somehow. I know my first cousin volunteers a lot throughout the week with things such as Meals on Wheels and things like that. So there are plenty of opportunities for her daughter to get a job or do volunteer things and get involved in the community as well. So right now in high school, she's just learning more about life skills and vocational skills. Of course, still learning about school subjects as well. Just more so now, the big thing in high school is learning about self-care and how to take care of herself. Did your child receive accommodations or modifications in the general education setting? In high school dance class, she is with the general education classroom. So some homework or research that the other students have to do, she doesn't necessarily have to do. So she's not expected to do those certain things. It's just more of she has to participate, but she really enjoys it, so she loves getting to participate. Do you feel your child's teachers have fully implemented the IEP as written? Through the years, the mother kind of says it changes. It just differs with the teacher, of course. One time she pointed out that all of a sudden, after coming back to school from a holiday break, that there was a change of staffing, and it was very frustrating because no one knew that the teacher was leaving and a new teacher was coming in. So that was kind of frustrating for the students as well because they just did not like the all of a sudden change. But the mother is really amazed of what they do get done inside of a classroom setting because the SPED teachers are having to work with multiple kids at a time and make sure everyone is safe and getting things done and actually having a productive, proactive day. So she really did applaud special education teachers all throughout this interview, and she's very thankful for what they do. Do you feel the school and teachers have a good understanding of your child's disabilities and needs? She said, yes, overall. Mainly, my job is to advocate for my child and educate who they are and what they are doing and what they need. So she just really wants to be the child's voice and point out that her daughter is just as much capable of doing things that other students do as well. What changes would you like to see made for your child? Lauren, the mother, said that this one, she really didn't have any changes that she wanted made with her child since her child is already in high school, and thus far everything has been pretty great for her child by for an educational standpoint in a public school, so she's pretty satisfied with that. What goals do you have for your child? She wants her child to continue to learn, like learning to read, functional skills, literacy games. Her child is not so much motivated with schoolwork, but she wants to keep her child engaged with learning new things. She pointed out like now when maybe homework is sent home and it looks kind of like babyish or it's on a worksheet that maybe is for kindergartners or a younger age group, that JJ knows that it's babyish and that she doesn't want anything to do with it. So maybe make things look a little bit more challenging, even though they might not be as challenging. But Lauren pointed out that JJ is very aware that she's a teenager and she can tell when something is meant for a baby. And whenever she sees that, she wants nothing, no part of it. So she wants to continue to challenge her daughter and her teachers to continue to challenge her daughter throughout um the remaining time of her high school career. Do you feel the school has set appropriate goals for your child? She said yes, all throughout her child's public school life, the goals that have been set, she's been happy with, and most of the time they have been reached or close to reaching, and then they follow into the next school year and work on them to reach them as well. Do you know who to contact with concerns or changes you would like for your child's IEP? She said the first thing she would do is to call the classroom teacher and go from there. She tries her best to respect the chain of command and kind of just keeps communication like being the key thing with the classroom teacher to go about any concerns or changes that she may want or need. I asked her if she knew her rights, and she kind of laughed that one off. She said, "Oh yes, she knows her rights, and that every year they give her a bunch of paperwork, and she tells them just to save it and save the trees because it's a bunch of paperwork, and she already knows." Um, I asked her, "Do you know how to file a, a a due process complaint?" And she said she did not because it's never really come up, but if she needed to, that's whenever she would get out all those papers and go from there. What types of programs and or classes is your child currently enrolled in? That goes back to uh, dance, and other than that, she is in SPED classes only. Are you satisfied with the available programs at your school? She said yes, and she kind of elaborated on that if she was satisfied with teachers throughout the year, and she just said it comes down for their willingness and their drive and passion. One thing that she wished that she could have changed throughout the course of her child's life in a public school education system is that she wished her child could have participated in the Special Olympics. She said that would have been something really her daughter would have enjoyed. It just kind of comes down to how much time the teacher is willing to invest in, but she understands that they are very, very busy, and it takes a lot of time and effort and patience to do a lot of extracurricular activities. Um, do you feel your child has endured positive changes throughout life? She believes, yes, that her child has had a great life, and she's hoped that she's given her all that she needs and the support that she needs, which just from my short time meeting with her, I could really see that she definitely has given all her children everything they could want and need and more. Do you think the educational assistance being provided to your child is effective? She said that there are 11 kids inside the classroom with 2 assistants and 1 teacher. So they're having those 11 kids are a lot. They can be a handful, but she believes that the 3 people involved in those students' everyday lives inside the classroom are great. Do you feel your child may outgrow any current behaviors before adulthood? The first thing she said was that she can't wait till she outgrows her teenage hormones. But other than that, probably not. That she'll probably be stubborn and boy crazy throughout her life. But her daughter is very, very awesome, and she won't change a thing. What is the most important piece of advice you would give to other parents of children with Down syndrome? She wanted to point out that communication is key with everyone involved in your child's life from inside the school system, that they are working with your child, they're not the enemy, that you guys are all working as a team for your child's academic achievements and goals and for your child to be the most successful they can be. So she just really wanted to point out that it's all about working as a team for that child, because that child should be the most important and the main focus when it comes down to it at the end of the day. She just wanted also to point out that you should go into every IEP meeting with a positive mindset, that teachers are friends, that the most important thing is that the teacher cares for your child and they keep them safe throughout the school day. Those 2 things are the biggest 2 things that are important to her when it comes down to the teachers. And that completes my interview with the parent. So now I'm going to go over with the interview that I had with the teacher. This teacher was one that the child JJ had in the past in middle school. So she's no longer with this teacher, but this teacher was involved in a lot of the students' public school life. I asked her, do you understand your responsibilities implementing the IEP? And she feels as if she really very much so does. Do you feel you are active participant in the IEP team meetings? She said yes, and she feels as if she is one of the leaders. How she develops the IEP, presents levels to determine the goals for that student, and collaborates with general education teachers and the parents and everyone else involved, whether it be PT, OT, or speech therapist. That they all kind of really work together to ensure success for that particular student. What accommodations or modifications do you provide? Modifications, she pointed out changing coursework so the general education teacher doesn't have to. Or when it comes to accommodations, she might do direct instructions with that child or put them in small groups if they work better with a peer or with a smaller group. and she also provides encore support, which are things that they, like an extra activity that they do throughout the day. So right now JJ's would be dance. Do you know the different instruction? Do you know the different instruction for this student? She said yes, that she was several grade levels below, so she had to adjust how she went about things for JJ. What types of behavior management strategies have you found successful? She says she used the token economy, so that's a lot of motivation that they will get tokens either given to them or taken away, depends on their behavior. And she also does preferential seating, so sometimes they get to sit by who they want or sit by themselves. It just is up to them on what they prefer. I asked her, what do you think is the biggest challenge in everything? And she said, most definitely it is meeting everyone's needs while making everyone happy, meaning other teachers, other faculty members, and the parents. It's really difficult to keep anyone happy in any situation throughout life, so that's the biggest thing that she pointed out there. Do you feel like you met the needs of this student? She said yes, that she feels as if she had a good solid plan throughout the years and changed it when she needed to, and implemented things such as job skills with her that got her started learning how to work, and really created a good foundation for moving on to higher grades levels and getting ready for her high school life. What would you like to see changed, if anything, in this child's IEP? She really wanted to teach her more things about how to hold down a job and have a job. So that is the one thing that she wanted to change. What would you like future teachers to know in order to help this student be most successful? She wanted to point out how it is really important for this child to be most successful, just like any child. The key is for excellent communication with the general education teachers and the special education teachers, to really have a good knowing of what is going on with both teachers and inside their classroom as the student goes within both. What goals and expectations did you have for this student? She had some pretty high goals for JJ. She did daily data on the specific goals and did a CBM progress monitoring tool, which did an online measure once a month on the grade level that they were based upon being at. And then the daily data were just things that they looked at what the student was doing that day, and if they improved on it from the day before, or things like that. They used the MobyMac, which collects and assigns lessons and data. How do you plan to adapt lessons to meet state standards? She tailors to the state standards to the needs, matching, does fill in the blank, choosing pictures, videos, choices, so things like that. So how do you take data? She uses the MobyMac system for daily data and the EasyCBM for monthly data. How would you utilize support staff in the classroom? She said that they are the glue of her class. They do great with direct instruction, supports them outside the classroom, gets them on and off the bus, helps with their bathroom needs, and helps them at lunchtime. So she is really appreciative of her assistants inside the classroom and could not do it without them. I asked her how she did different levels of classroom behaviors and how she handles discipline in the classroom, and they kind of go hand in hand again. She went back to the token system. It just kind of, she gives them freedom and takes away some freedom. So, and that kind of also gets them ready for what adult life is like, having freedom and then not being able to have some freedom. So it gets them to be more independent and knowing the right and wrong things to do things as well. I asked her, what would you do if a parent disagrees at an IEP meeting? She says that she tries to do a rough draft of the IEP and gets to the parent before the actual IEP meeting so they can do any changes or see if the parent has any concerns. So she tries to get that settled before the actual meeting so they can go in both already knowing what to expect. But she said if they still had a problem coming into that IEP meeting, that she would just always have correct data to show that parent what they need to work on and where they're at and what their goals need to be in the accommodations page. So that's about it for the teacher interview. It went very well and she was very nice and patient with all my questions. So Rising Above Ministry is through the River Community Church here in Cookeville, Tennessee, and they provide a lot of different things for parents with all types of children with a disability. They have a mom's coffee talk every Thursday morning at 8:30. There's also a dad's hang time at Buffalo Wild Wings every second Tuesday of the month, and they have community nights on the second Saturday of every month, and this consists of a family meal, Bible lessons for the individuals with special needs and their siblings. Parents have the small groups during this time as well to kind of talk and vent. So all these things are great, and they're all local here in our city for parents to be a part of and looking for someone else to talk to that are going through the same things as you do as a parent. So some of my final thoughts, I had a really good time with this project. It's something I've never done before, and I just really enjoyed it and getting to experience talking with the parent, Lauren, and then the teacher, and getting kind of both of their standpoints and views and their outlooks. Lauren was very, very much informative on things, and she elaborated very well. Talking with the teacher, she was also very informative, but of course she had a classroom full of students and they were eating their breakfast, so it kind of was in a rush to ask all the questions, but I was very much appreciative that she did take the time out of her day to meet with me and answer my questions. So all in all, I had a great learning experience. I think it gave me a little bit more of an insight on parents and then the teaching standpoint of being involved in the lives of someone with a disability, and just to be more of a voice for these students, that just because they have a disability does not mean that it defines them, and they are capable of everything that we can help them reach and that they set their mind to.